What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining the Tate broadcast. Today I'm going to be talking about what the Giants will be doing this free agency. And I did a video yesterday talking about like what I just think me alone the Giants are going to be doing in this free agency. But now, in this video, I brought a special guest, my cousin Liam. Want to say what's up?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Excited to get into it today.
Yeah, so pretty much we're just going to be talking about, because obviously I'm assuming he'd have different ideas. Maybe we probably have a lot of things in common, but I'm assuming he has different ideas of who we're going to get and such what he wants, like the Giants to cut and, things that we're going to do in the free agency. So I'm assuming this is going to be a good little debate we got going on. But all right, let's get into it. Okay, so right now, like I did yesterday in my last video, this is Spotrac. I'll put a link in the description as well. But pretty much, it's just going to be showing, you guys saw it yesterday, of what, who I want to cut. So in my last video, my first move I wanted to cut right away was Nate Solder. And then right here, it could show us, how much money we save / how much money he would take anyway. So that obviously is the first move we're going to do right there. Is we're going to cut Nate Solder. I'm assuming that you have no arguments against that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we didn't play with him this year, and the O-line looked better. We're paying him a stupid amount of money, and we save like $6 or $7 million if we cut him. So I think that almost has to be done, and I don't really see like a lot of Giants fans disagreeing with that. So yeah, I'm cool with that.
I haven't seen a Giants fan disagree with that, and I would honestly be surprised, because what he would probably be if we were in some fantasy world, he would probably be our right tackle.
He's got to be our right tackle.
If you pay him $16.5 million, it's awful. I mean, what are you going to make? You're going to make Thomas the right tackle then if you for some reason keep him?
No, I think Thomas has to. I agree. He just has to play left tackle. I mean, that's what we drafted him to do. That's, I think, his best position. I saw some snap percentage thing, especially with him in college. He played a little bit of right tackle. He's not as good as right tackle. He's just not as comfortable. And he's our number 4 overall pick from last year. He's got to play his position, and Solder is 900 years old. So I'm good without him on our team.
Exactly. And honestly, this is a move that I'm sort of surprised hasn't been done yet, to be totally honest.
I think they're just waiting until the new year, the new NFL calendar year is what I'm thinking, which is March 3rd or 4th. And once that happens, I expect him to get cut pretty quickly. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
And then now going on to another guy who I would not be surprised if we caught. Again, there's another person I'm surprised we haven't caught already, is Golden Tate. I've said this last today. He is just not a part. He's not with it. He's not going in the direction that we want him to go with. And as you can see here, he's 32 or 33. So he's just not right. And he saves us $4 million. So now we can get to 10. We have to have $10 million in cap space to spend on players.
Yeah, and the other thing with Golden Tate, again, I agree he's old, but he's also just not who he used to be in the open field, as well as the same player as Sterling Shepard. So
yes,
you have one on the field at the same time. You put Golden Tate on the outside against who, their number 1 corner, who is he beating?
No one.
Absolutely no one. So you got to line 2 wide receivers up in the slot, and then you see sometimes we shift Saquon out onto the outside when Tate's there, or even Evan Ingram, who, again, if you put him on a corner, Evan Ingram's thing is speed, and no one gets open. And I'm not the biggest Daniel Jones fan. I think we got to give him a chance again this year. I agree with you, and I know people have heard you say that. But giving him Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, 2 of the same players, and then Darius Slayton, he's great number 3 or 4 receiver, but having him as your 1 on the outside, who's getting open for Daniel? And it's this year and the last couple of years, it's been nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So yeah, and then also too, it goes back to the beginning. I think middle of the year when who was that? Who did we play when he complained about not scoring touchdowns or whatever, or not getting the ball enough? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Remember when he complained and then so pretty much he complained about not getting the ball enough, and then I think his wife on Twitter said that she also started complaining about how he's not getting the ball, and then he made some crazy. He was talking a lot of trash and stuff like that, yada yada. And then pretty much Joe Judge put him on the practice squad, and a lot of people were not thrilled with him at all. So I'm also surprised he hasn't been cut as of now. But I guess I understand that if they want to cut him when the NFL calendar starts, I totally understand as well. Yeah, he's another guy. I would not be surprised if he's gone.
Yeah, I didn't really hear about that. I remember his wife coming out or something, but I didn't remember the whole circumstance. But now thinking about it, he didn't really see the field at the end of the season.
No,
we had people who's the dude's name, Corey Board or whatever. Out there, and then we got Dante Pedersen.
And then we also got Austin Mack played a couple games too. So yeah,
right. So they're done with Golden Tate. That makes sense. Good. That's fine with me.
Now here's another player who I am actually kind of interested in. In my last video, I talked about he's someone that I'm not sure what the Giants are going to do. So these last two players, Solder and Tate, I'm 1,000% sure gone, 100%. But Zeitler, I don't know if you cut him, because if you cut him, you only save. Oh wait, you saved $12 million if you cut Zeitler?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I thought you saved two. Oh, wow, that changes the game then. Oh my God.
I don't think they do. I don't think they cut him though. I would like to, I guess, like looking at it cap space wise, but it's not a great guard free agency other than the Oregon kid like Panay, Sewell or whatever.
Which
it's not a great guard. Yeah, he's not falling to us, and it's not a great guard draft. So I do kind of think we need him, although we were kind of shifting him in and out of the lineup. He's the only experienced guy on that offensive line once you get rid of Solder, who wasn't even there this year. But I just don't see the Giants cutting him. It's awesome from like a cap space perspective, but I think like Gettleman is a guy, he's like a meatball football fan, like they say on PNT. Like he's just like, oh, like we need veterans, we need experience, which I don't really disagree with, especially on like a really young offensive line that showed a little promise. I think you need like some leadership there. And he's decent, I guess. He's all right.
He's not awful, but now he is taking a big cap hit with $14.5 million. So he's actually, as of now, if we cut Zeitler, he would be or if we cut Solder, he would be our second, like, highest paid player. And that kind of bothers me a little bit thinking about that right now, because he's not, I would not consider him a top 5, like, offensive lineman / guard. You know what I mean? So if he's our second paid guy, this
on our team?
Yeah. No, in the league. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. But again, like, if we just cut everybody that we think is overpaid,
we didn't.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just not really going to work for building a team.
Totally understand, but you could restructure his contract. You could be like, hey, dude, you know, we're going to pay you the 14.5, but can you take like 7 this year and then whatever the rest is next year? You
right,
could,
but he's owed $14,000 for this year.
But can't you restructure it?
So, like, yeah, but we'd have to give him more years then, and he's 31, it says.
Yeah, you give him another year.
This is last year? Yeah, this is last year. But if we give him another year, then we're going to have to pay him $10 million this year, $10 million next year, instead of $14 million this year. You know what I mean?
So you just kind of want to take the hit. All right, I can understand that, and I'm also totally fine with leaving him alone. I don't know what they're going to do with him. He is actually someone I'm really interested to see what they actually do with him. But okay, who do you think is the next guy that you think is possibly on the cutting board?
Let me raise a different question to you.
Okay.
What do you think about biting the bullet and re-signing Saquon this year before he has his
big year
2,800-yard season?
Yeah. So I haven't really heard anyone talk about that, or I haven't even really thought about that in general. But do you think he would be down to do that? Because he's going to know that he's
going to still have to pay him stupid money.
What do you think they pay him? Like 15?
Yeah, I mean, what did McCaffrey get? 16? I'd say he'd take Zeke got, I forget what Zeke got. Probably like 14, 15, yeah. Over years, though. Probably 4 years.
But that's a huge gamble, though. What if he doesn't come back from his ACL tear?
Yeah, I mean, I think like looking at modern medicine, like he's probably going to be fine coming off the ACL. Like we saw even 10 years ago, like Adrian Peterson came back and won MVP. Like people come back from that stuff now. It's not like an Achilles or anything. But if you want to re-sign Saquon after his contract, we can let him walk. I'm okay with letting Saquon walk because I don't really think that running backs are super important. But if we're going to re-sign him, I think we should just do it this offseason and bite the bullet, if that makes any sense to you.
It makes a ton of sense. And I actually haven't heard anyone talk about that. Because then you could maybe get him on a cheaper deal, because let's say he balls out and has, like another 2,000 total yards gain per season, or even more than that. Now you have to worry about, like, oh crap, now he's going to want to be the highest paid guy in the league.
And then we're gonna franchise tag him, which is what we'd have to do then.
Which would piss him off too.
Yeah, and then he's just gone.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's actually a really interesting point. I don't know how much you would sign him for, because then also, yeah, I honestly, I've definitely, you got me confused, because I really don't know what we do there, to be honest with you. That is a really interesting point. Now, I would be a little nervous, because I would also want to be able to sign guys like Leonard and like Dalvin Tomlinson, who have been balling out and have been playing well. He hasn't played he played great his rookie year, but after that, what else does he have? Like, he is this like sort of an unproven commodity to me. I'm afraid of his injuries. He's gotten injured every year except his rookie year.
He's so good though. Like, he's so good. And injuries, I feel like, I'm not gonna say he's injury prone, because like stuff like ACLs, like that can happen to anybody. You just get hit wrong. Like, it's not like he always has like soft tissue. Like Odell, it was hamstring. It was always muscular stuff. I feel like that's injury prone, where Saquon's is like structural, which I think is different. So I would want to re-sign Saquon this offseason. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Like, as an organization, like, you want to make sure that you have the guy, right? And then you'll pay him. And they don't know that right now, I think. So I like them kind of taking their time with it. But if it were me, if I were Dave Gettleman, I would like at least try to like put some feelers out there with Saquon as agent, like to see if we could get something done this summer. And as far as like people you think that I think are on like the chopping block, we're not going to cut him because he's a free agent, but I would like to let Leonard Williams walk and re-sign Dalvin.
Interesting. You know what, too? I am a fan. I do love Dalvin. It is really tough, but why do you want to get rid of Leonard Williams? I'll ask you that first.
I mean, career year. Chances he lives back up to it pretty low. Gonna have to pay him actual edge rusher money for a guy who's a slow D tackle. If you look at like most of our sacks this year, even like Leonard Williams, what do you have, like 11.5? They're all, most of them are just coverage sacks. And it's because we play that cool, like 3 safety, like 1 hybrid safety with Jabril, where he comes down a line of scrimmage sometimes, but it's a 5.5 second sack. He's not beating any. We need an edge rusher. We can't just have 3 D tackles, or even if it's like an outside linebacker who can get after the quarterback with speed. Like, the coverage sacks are great and they're awesome. I love them. And like, thank you, James Bradbury. You're the GOAT.
Yes.
But like, I don't think that we have Dexter Lawrence, we have Leonard Williams, and we have Dalvin Tomlinson. If we play Dexter and Dalvin next to each other and then get some guys who can actually rush the passer off the outside, I'm not saying we're going to sign him, but someone like Shaquille Barrett, I think that takes our defense up a level. And even in like the Super Bowl and in the playoffs, like, you saw Shaquille Barrett like dropping back in coverage and like doing well guarding not really tight ends, but the running backs out of the backfield, which we know is like a big part of like a lot of NFC East offenses. Yeah.
Well, the other problem I see with Leonard Williams is I totally agree. Like, I heard some ridiculous number that guy, he wants like 20 to 25 million. If he wants that, he's walking. I'm so cool with him walking. But now if he wants to be realistic and come back with like maybe 17 to 18, then I think you can maybe start talking to him and have like actual, conversations about that. That I wouldn't be that upset about. But if we sign him for over $20 million, I'm going to be really upset, because that would be a ridiculous move. Because again, he's not a DN. You know what I mean? He's not like your typical like pass rusher kind of guy. I mean, you're right.
He wants to be paid like one.
Exactly, which is ridiculous. And
but go somewhere else.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you know what too? Honestly, go test the water trying to get $20 million from another team. No one's going to do that. Like, no one's going to sign for 20 million.
I mean, maybe like a really dumb team. Like, I could see the Bengals being like, "Oh, cool, Leonard Williams, my boy. Here's 22 million." Like, well, 3 king.
Yeah. So if he does that, that's totally fine. I'm totally okay with that. But here's the only thing I could say, and I kind of think it's BS, is that if you remember in the last game when they played the Cowboys and stuff like that, he came in the post-conference interview and he was like, to me, it's not about the money anymore. It's about like the respect, and also like where I want to play, and I'm willing to take a cut and stuff like that, yada yada, because if I love like a certain coach or a certain place or yada, BS like that.
Hey, if that's true, it's true. That's awesome. If it's not true, then walk.
Yeah, no, and I agree. If it is true, it's true. I just don't think it is, because he's been on the team, he's been a pain in the ass about contracts.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, you want to get paid and you keep getting franchise tagged. It's the NFL, you get franchise tagged. It sucks, because what if you get injured and your career's over and you didn't get your money? I get that. But that's like kind of the position you put us in, like where you're not worth what you want to be paid. And if you can get that elsewhere, absolutely. Like, I wish you the best. You were a Giants player, like, awesome dude, but not here. Yeah,
I totally agree. If they give him 20, I'm gonna be really pissed. But if they give him like 17 to 18, I can be reasonable with that. But another guy who has came out and has said, "Hey, I'm willing to take a hometown discount," is Dalvin Thompson. And that's a guy I would be really happy about because, and honestly, I feel like he's genuine about that. He's never been a loudmouth or anything like that. He's never said anything crazy. He's been like, I love playing here at the Giants. I love doing this and that. Like, please, I'll take a hometown discount. And that's something I'd be really excited about.
I remember seeing him say like how much he likes playing for Patrick Graham too.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, who doesn't? So
I think it'd be awesome to have him back, and I would like to let Leonard walk. That doesn't really matter that much for our cap hit thing here, but that's how I feel. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. But now, what do you think is the idea about this? Like, I've heard this point from other podcasters. They've talked about how, what you get with Dalvin, you can kind of find. It's just like a big run stopper guy that's in the middle that causes traffic. Whereas like in Leonard Williams, he's a little more versatile. It's a little harder to find people like that.
I mean, I guess I agree. Like he's certainly kind of a hybrid D tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that works pretty well in the system, but again, like I'd love to have you back, Leonard, just not for like, right. I don't want to have to mortgage MetLife Stadium to have you back.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're in agreement here as far as Leonard, if you want to take the 17 to 18, have at it. Come back to the Giants. If you don't want to take that, I'm sorry, dude. Like, we can't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Right. It's like, this is not going to happen.
All right. Do you see us making any other cuts, really?
Well, yeah. So obviously there are some low time guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're going to cut Levi Tololo, and there's like a third string guy, and he really did nothing. I don't remember.
Just do those quick, I feel like.
Yeah, but so these are things that are little, but they're going to add up. So like, he saves us. What does he save us? He saves us $3 million. You know what I mean? So that's something that could really help us out in the main. David Mayo is another guy who's the kind of trash. Cody Core was another dude who, again, so both David Mayo and Cody Core just saved us $4 million. And now, like, does that seem kind of small? Sure. But eventually, like, that is going to be a lot. And it's going to add up to, like, a bigger player. Now, Cody Core is another guy, too, that, like, when we signed him last year, I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. You know what I mean? Because he just wanted to be, he was going to be, like, the kick returner guy. And I think we were paying, like, $2 million or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But now it's like, okay, it was a 2-year deal. You're on your second year, and you got hurt, and you're 27, and I don't need a 27-year-old kick returner. You know what I mean? Like, I can do anything.
Right. And, I mean, we have Jabril does our punts anyway, so he wasn't really doing much. And Dion Lewis was our kick returner for some goddamn reason. I don't know. But
yeah, well, also
clearly they don't like Cody Core out there.
So well, no. In all fairness, Cody Core, he did tear his ACL in the beginning of the year.
So was he returning kicks, though?
He was, like, literally, like, preseason, he tore his ACL. He was supposed to be when they signed him, it was like, I remember last year.
End? I feel like I remember him being out there a little bit. No,
I don't think so. No, I remember. I remember when they signing him, they were like, "Oh, sweet! Like we got a kick returner, we got a special team guy, like yada yada." And I was like, "Oh, that's neat," but I don't really care.
I hate that so much though, because I just remember being so angry every year. Not as angry as this year with Evan Ingram, but like, oh, Dwayne Harris made the Pro Bowl. Yeah, I mean, this guy is terrible.
Yes.
And we're paying him so much money to return our kicks, and all he does is fair catch and run out of bounds, and he's a shitty wide receiver. So, like, 100%. Not in on the kick returning thing. Like, they kick from the 35 now. It's a touchback every time, and if it's a punt, Jabril is great at that, or good.
Yeah, and he's fun. You know what I mean? He's neat.
Yeah, he's Jabril. And by the way, I just want to say I don't think we're going to cut Evan Ingram. I'd throw a party if we did. But I just don't see David doing it. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
No, I totally agree. Obviously, I've made this clear. I hate this man, Evan Ingram. I think he's the worst football player on the face of the earth. I cannot stand him. I was so angry when Jerry Reese picked him up when we had David Njoku on the board still. Very upset about that. But that is beside the point. The point, though, I would like to make, though, is I've seen some reports, and this kind of scares me because I don't like it, is that a lot of people have said that the Giants love Kyle Pitts. You know what I mean? That they love him and that they are definitely willing to trade Evan Ingram and then pick up Kyle Pitts as the new guy. And that just...
I don't think he'll be there, Pat.
You don't think Pitts goes there? Where do you think Pitts goes in the draft?
I could really see him going to the Bengals.
Really?
Yeah. I think they used to love having, like, Tyler Eifert.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know who they had out there this season. CJ Uzomah. And like that's Joey B's team.
Yeah.
And in college, Joey B loved the tight end. I think there's a chance he goes there, but he's like such a good talent that I don't think I know it's a tight end, but he's like an A+ tight end prospect.
But what
So
scares
I
me
think
about
he
him, though,
goes in the top 10.
what scares about him to me is like he can't block. He's another dude that can't block, and like I don't want a tight end that can't block. I know you know me. Like I like the guy that is a classic big dude that just is sure-handed, will always catch the ball, and that is it. He's no finesse kind of guy. He's just like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna do my little stick route, yada yada, and I can block. That is who I want at the tight end, and that is who I think we only really need the tight end. You really think about it. There's only like two. Yeah, as of now, there's only like two tight ends who I'd be like, wow, that actually changes your game. Like that can change the offense, and that's Travis Kelce and
Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle
And Waller. I'd say
and the
Waller
Waller.
too.
Yeah, and the Waller. Okay, so that's three guys. There's three guys in the league where I'm like, wow, that guy can change the game. He can change your offense.
Yeah, there's other like decent guys, but like those guys have to get doubled.
Well, but no, I like the guys that are decent, like Jonnu Smith, stuff like that. A little younger version of Jonnu Smith would be nice, you know what I mean? Where it's like he just does his thing. He's gonna.
I don't think he's too old.
How old is he?
25, 26?
No way. Is he really?
Look
at Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is 25. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He's fire. So I'll trade you straight up Evan Ingram for Jonnu Smith.
Yep.
Please.
I would throw in a third rounder too. I would be like, screw it. Like I'll throw a third rounder in too if you guys really want it.
Word. So who do you like? Do you want to get into any signings today or not?
Yeah, I'd love to actually. So, but now here's my thing: is we look at the cap space, we look at this top little right here, making these simple cuts, who I think we are going to do anyway. This is without restructuring contracts. So people that will maybe be done, but this is for sure. Like these are things who I feel very sure we're going to do, and even like the Giants have not said it, but like people around the Giants have been like, yeah, this is kind of like the cut list. Is Nate Solder, Golden Tate, Levi Tololo, Cody Core, David Mile. Those are guys who are like, yeah, that's out. You can even
probably a couple more too, honestly.
There definitely is 100% going to be a couple more. There's going to be guys who are like, oh, that's the guys on the team. So I mean, even like Sam Beal is probably on the cut list too. But so this is going to give you $18 million as of now, just alone. So now this kind of gives you room to sort of talk about players such as, do we sign a big wide receiver? And that is somebody what I really want to do is sign a huge wide receiver. I don't know what your opinions on that are.
Yeah, I'd really like to, but only if it's Allen Robinson. Okay. I think shelling out that money for somebody like Juju or Kenny Golladay is not something I want to do at all. Mm. And I keep seeing that people think we're going to sign Curtis Samuel,
which would bother me.
I think it's a decent signing. He's so fast, and he's like, he can also do the Sean McVay, like end around and reverse and stuff, which I think would add a dynamic to our offense. But like, we can't go into next season with Sterling Shepard, Curtis Samuel, and Darius Slayton. We need to have Curtis Samuel and then go into the draft and get a big time wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That's what we're gonna do. I get that, but I would love to have Allen Robinson on our team, and I would say Godwin too, but I think he's staying with the Bucs no matter what. Yeah, so there are like the top four that I saw wide receivers as far as their free agencies. So there was Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, and Juju, and then Will Fuller too. But I don't want for Will Fuller, so let's take him out of there. So now Juju, I just hate as a person in general. I cannot stand that man. So I don't even think he's that good. Again, he would be like another younger version, like Golden Tate / like Sterling Shepard, just like a slot guy. Boy. Yeah, and he's TikTok boy. I would not want to deal with that at all. So that leaves us, and then Chris Godwin, I would be really surprised if he goes at a free agency. Like, I think that man just wants to hang out with Tom Brady, and he's in an awesome system where he has like two guys, like, you know, he has guys like Mike Evans and even Antonio Brown. I'm pretty sure he's probably gonna still be there. So and Gronk too. So he's got like tons of weapons on that team. You know, he could just be there, get his yards, because he's gonna be single coverage every single time. So he's a guy that I think is gonna stay. And then we go to Kenny Golladay and Allen Robinson. And now I totally agree with you on Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson's probably better than Kenny Golladay, but now you have to think about it. Does Kenny Golladay or does Allen Robinson want to come here? You know what I mean? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think if he doesn't want to, like, I'd rather just draft a wide receiver, I think, because Kenny Golladay is pretty injury prone, and I just don't think he's great. He's a great, like, high pointing the ball and like deep threat, but I don't think he's a guy that like you can go throw at 10 times a game and expect him to have 80 catches for 92 yards. Like
Yeah.
I just don't see him as that guy where like Allen Robinson's good over the top, good in the middle, good on the short, can run the slant, post to go, like whatever. Like Allen Robinson is a complete receiver that I don't think Kenny Galladay is, and I think they'll have like a similar cost. So if we can't get Allen Robinson, I'm not really a huge Kenny Galladay fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I see like the other wide receivers that like I was also thinking about, like Corey Davis, Will Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones. Those are the other free agent wide receivers. Those guys are going to go somewhere and be a 2. One of them is going to sign with the Packers and go be the 2 to Devontae Adams that Aaron Rodgers has wanted forever. And he went out and said, shut up, Packers organization, get me another receiver. I see that being one of those guys. So I feel like we're not even in that stratosphere. I don't know why I'm talking about it. But yeah, I only want Allen Robinson or Godwin, and Godwin's not going to test the waters. I could see A-Rob going to the Jets, honestly.
Really? So now my thing with Allen Robinson is like he hasn't played with a great QB yet in his career. He played with, Blake Bortles, who yes, we love Blake, but he hasn't really played with a guy that is like a certified great player. He hasn't played like a great quarterback yet.
What team with a great quarterback has cap space, Pat?
I guess that's very fair to say, but if I'm him, like I want to go to a team where I could actually finally like get a win or be good. You know what I mean?
Right, but I don't think you go to like the Packers and take $9 million when you could go to the Giants and get 16. Like,
well, that is fair. And also to a lot of people, I've seen this come out a lot, is that in players like Allen Robinson and Kenny Galladay, both organizations, the Browns or the Bears and the Lions, are both saying they want to franchise tag him, but with the franchise tag, they want to trade. So I think the franchise tag would put him around 14 to 15, maybe $16 million, which would be huge. So if we can franchise, if they franchise tag him, I think it'd be more likely that we maybe throw a trade out there, And I don't think these are like, I know a lot of quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, they get like a no trade clause. So they can be like, no, I don't want to go to that team. But like, I don't think guys like wide receivers like that can like have that as a clause. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how that works with the franchise tag, but if we trade for him and he's on the franchise tag,
that's big.
We're gonna have to, like, when the franchise tag's up, right? He can just walk.
Yeah, but we could extend him in the summer. We could do what you like want to do with Saquon, where it's like, all right,
but cool. Like what you're saying with like he wants to play with the go-to quarterback, say Danny Dimes, isn't that we give up these assets for Allen Robinson? It's gonna be a decent chunk. He comes to the team for 1 year, and then he's like, no, I actually like say you're right, and he wants to be like, oh no, like I really want to go play with Russell Wilson or whatever big time quarterback, and he just walks and we gave up all those assets. That's kind of what I was scared was going to happen with Leonard Williams, and we got him for an extra 2 years, but he could be walking now, and we gave up a second and a third.
Yeah, agreed. But do you think maybe with Allen Robinson, for Allen Robinson, I would totally 1,000% give up a second. And my reasoning behind it
is not enough. That's not enough.
You don't. But then you take off the contract too, and you take off a wide receiver that doesn't want to be with you.
So yeah, but other people, like, it's not like we're the only people who want Allen Robinson.
Well, that's very fair. But you could think, well, but let me just explain as far as like, all right, I'd give up like a second and maybe like a third, because then my thing is now like your first round pick has like opened up completely, because now you don't have to focus on just getting like your wide receiver in the first round. Now you can completely open up your options. You could get a guy who like has been falling in a lot of mock drafts, not mine, but he has been falling in Micah Parsons.
State boy, yeah.
Or you could get your corner. Let's say one of them falls or something like that. Like you could get your guy, or you can get another like an offensive tackle who I wouldn't really want. Or you can even get one of the defensive ends, the pass rushers that are coming out, like Rousseau from Miami, or I think his name's like Kwity Paye from Michigan. So it completely opens up your draft stock. And then if you don't do that, so like let's say we just don't do anything, we don't even sign him, whatever, we leave him alone. Now you only have a first round pick, and you're probably most definitely going to be spending that on a guy like a wide receiver. And then from there, now you have to get like a second round guy, and you have your third round guy, and those guys are not like fantastic options at like defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're more likely to address defense in free agency than offense. There's a couple pieces I like that I wanted to bring up today, and you can let me know what you think, but I would love for us to go get that number 2 corner. Yeah. I like Mike Hilton from the Steelers. He became the number 1 corner this year when everybody else got injured. and he played pretty well. I liked what I saw from him, and I was watching the Steelers defense pretty closely.
Mhm.
And he's not going to be expensive, and I think he'll be like a good cornerback too. And we have like people who can come down and play slot. Like, yeah, I forget his name now, but yeah. And then
Oh, darn it.
Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan.
Okay, yeah.
I want Jadeveon Clowney.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think he'll be that expensive because he didn't have a lot of suitors this year, and the cap's even lower. It's going to be a little lower.
Mm-hmm.
Not crazy low, but I think that it'll be like we could get him on like a 2-year, $16 million deal from what I've been seeing like everywhere. Like people don't want to pay him in the current cap market. And I think he would be a great addition to that defense. Like someone who, like I was saying before, can go and just get after the quarterback, doesn't need the coverage sacks. Like he's strong, he's fast, and he's blowing past left and right tackles, and he's going to strip sack, whatever. He could do it all.
Wow. So that would be, so then you would get rid of Leonard Williams then, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
Wow. Damn, I didn't think about that. I like that option a lot now, actually.
And Mike Hilton is not super expensive, but we were getting killed by wide receiver twos last year.
Oh yeah, no, I think we need to address that position so badly. And I would actually really love if we address that in the free agency, because I would love to get like you. So there's how do you think about like maybe getting like an older corner? I'm not really a big fan of this, but it's been thrown around there that maybe getting guys like Xavier Rhodes or Richard Sherman or like a McCourty.
Yeah, no, I think like I'd rather kill myself. But no, like if we're going older corner, the Bengals actually have 2 really good corners that are free agents.
Trey Wayne, right? Isn't that one of them?
Like maybe that's the other one. The one I liked, no, it's Mackenzie Alexander and William Jackson III.
Okay.
And those 2 guys, like again, they're not gonna light the world on fire, but like
you don't need that.
Right. They're good, solid, can play man, can play zone. Straight up, they're a cornerback. Like Richard Sherman, if you put him on the outside with like someone in a wheelchair, they will burn him.
Yeah.
He has no wheels.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. He's so smart and he's great in zone, which is primarily what we play, but it limits so much of like what you can do as a defense when you have someone that like legit can only play zone.
Yeah, and especially because like that's the whole thing on like all the Giants head coaches and stuff like that. They just preach versatility. That's all they want is versatility.
Yeah, versatility and speed, and that's not Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman's gonna want us to bust open the bank for him. Also, I think he's a ring chaser, and I don't think he views us as a team that's ready to go out there and win a ring.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
No, Richard Sherman. I want someone like I think a little more under the radar.
I totally agree with you. And I'm in the same boat. I do want a guy where it's like the only thing like that would just bother me so much in our defense, because I love our defense so much. But the only thing that would bother me so much is like I would see, all right, Bradbury's on the right-hand side. Okay, cool. Wow, the quarterback's looking at the left-hand side, and it's Isaac Yiadom. Oh my God, the guy's wide open, 40-yard touchdown. And it was just painful to watch. It's like it's just so aggravating, and it's like so scary because every single time it's thrown to one of like Yiadom or like Ryan Lewis was a guy for a little bit, or like Julian Love. Like whenever it's thrown in that direction, I like can't breathe for a second. It's pain. It's like I don't want to do that anymore. I can't do that anymore.
Darnay Holmes looks like a 7-year-old out there.
Don't hate on my boy. He's my boy.
I know you like him because he was in the chess club in college, but it doesn't even like he must be like 5'7". He looks like a little boy.
He might be. I would not doubt if he's like 5'9". I would not doubt that at all. But
yeah, so we need a corner, and if we let Leonard walk, edge rusher. I love Clowney, but if we could get him for the right price, I think Bud Dupree too.
Oh my God, if we can get Bud Dupree. Wow, you know what? You're kind of selling me on this whole thing of getting rid of Leonard. You've kind of sold me on it.
I think you're going to pay Bud Dupree. You're definitely paying Clowney less than you'd pay Leonard.
Yeah, 100%.
And Bud Dupree would probably be in that like $17-18 million range, which is where we want Leonard. And Bud Dupree is actually good.
Yeah,
not that Leonard's not good, but Bud Dupree is like legit.
Insane. Is like legit. And you know what? Too thinking about it now, like I remember Joe Judge talking about it, and he was talking about Bud Dupree when they were playing the Steelers, and he was like, "Yeah, this guy's a guy." Like this dude's a guy. So there's a connection there too, as far as like he loves him. I mean, everyone really loves him in general, but wow, yeah, I think honestly you've sold me on this idea of getting rid of Leonard. I going into this. I mean, in my video yesterday, I talked about maybe trying to figure out a way to re-sign both Leonard and Dalvin, but I am definitely sold on getting rid of Leonard, getting one of those guys like Jadeveon Clowney or something like that, like an actual pass rusher, not like a Leonard Williams, just a hybrid, like a pass rusher, and then going for that corner who's just average. I just want the average guy, and I agree with you. You like a dude that no one knows about, like real NFL fans like would tell. Like I know who Mike Hilton is because like my boy next door to me, he knows he's a Steelers fan. We were talking about him, but like no one really knows. If you said Mike Hilton to your average Joe on the street, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. I know I've been like asking you a lot of questions, but I have one more.
Oh, I love this. Let's go.
Yeah. So, re-sign Gallman. Sorry. Yes or no?
If it's for the right price, and I don't think it will be for the right price. I love the Wayne train. I really do. That's like that name just is so perfect. But if it's for the right price, which is not going to like if it's like three.
I see him going to the 49ers, honestly, and lighting it up. He's not going to be a starter, but they do like that timeshare thing, and he's just perfect for that system. Like he's like, oh, cool, a hole, that's mine.
Yeah, exactly. He would be really nice. Now but he's probably, because I've also heard this idea too. Like he's like, I think he's 27, 28. So like he's at the end of his prime. Like he's at the end tear off his like prime in quotation marks. So like he's gonna want to get his last big contract and his last dollar. You know, so I think it's gonna be a big contract. I don't want a big contract for a backup running back when I have to pay my starter running back a lot of money either this year, which you were saying maybe, or especially definitely next year if he plays well.
I like a 1-year deal for Mike Davis from the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, I like that too. That would be very nice, right. Actually.
So you take Dion Lewis and Wayne Gallman
and
you put them together, and it's Mike Davis. But you only have to pay one of them instead of both guys last year. Like, I don't think Mike Davis is going to be super expensive, especially on like a 1-year deal. I think he's kind of old, like 28 or 29. Like 1-year deal, Mike Davis. I'm not saying it's going to happen or that it needs to happen. I just think like, oh, like that would be an interesting signing. I saw he's a free agent, and I think that's something we could use. Yeah, well, he's a guy that I would like. Dion Lewis is another dude who, I mean, like I hate to be, because I feel like I'm being mean to a child, but like I love Dion and everything, but he's just so small and so not fast. Like he's not that great. So yeah, I totally agree with you. He's going to be a guy that we cut for sure. Wayne, I definitely think it's not heading the right direction for poor Wayne. I love Wayne. I wish it did head in the right direction, but it probably won't head in that direction. So I've also heard of two options. Like you're right, either sign like an older-ish guy like in Mike Davis's age, around like 29, or maybe addressing it like you find like a little gem in like the 5th or 6th round running back. Just dress in the draft. Just throw a little like 5th round pick at that and see, you know, just like a guy that you don't really need to ball out, but just a little guy that can be like a 3rd round back. Or like a 3rd round back. I mean, I watch a lot of football. I never played football. I don't know how to break down tape, but from a lot of people that I've like seen on Twitter and stuff and like read some articles, I heard like it's a pretty bad running back draft outside of like the top 2 guys. And I don't want to get a 1st or 2nd round running back. So like, I don't want that either. Like, do you go get like how would you see us addressing that outside of the draft then if we don't get someone like Mike Davis, like playoff Lenny? Like, I don't want that. No, well, it would be if it's not going to be in the draft, it's going to be a guy it's going to be Gallman probably then. What? It's just if it's not the draft, I feel like it's most likely Gallman. But you're going to have, I don't want to pay him more than $5 million, so it's probably going to be a guy that's like some older dude that like is at like the very tail end of like his career, and it's like, okay, cool, we have you because we need a backup running back. Right, like I can't even think of anybody like Melvin Gordon, but not as good. Yeah, and not as cool. Like that's going to demand a lot of money. Exactly. Yeah, I think Melvin Gordon might be going to jail, so he might not be young. Oh yeah, didn't he get like a DUI? I don't ever know what happened with the DUI. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, he did get a Dewey. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. He's probably, he's probably a little bit in trouble. Yeah, he's doing his thing out there. Yeah. So, wow. All right. So I think we addressed a lot in this video, and I'm actually really excited. What else kind of moves do you think we make? Anything else or no? No, not really. Obviously, like there's always going to be like one or two that you just can't predict. That happens every year, like out of nowhere. You're just like, oh, cool, or like, wow, what the hell are we doing? But like, you're not going to know when they're happening or what's going on. The other thing I was just thinking about, like when we were talking about this, it doesn't really pertain to the Giants that much. But like, what do you think happens with the free agent quarterbacks? It does kind of affect us because like Dak's free agent, Andy Dalton's a free agent, and I mean, I hate the Cowboys just as much as the next guy. Like, the Cowboys can't keep that roster together if they pay Dak $40 million.
Which I would love. So this is another big thing is I'm always a huge fan of just taking NFL news in general and how can I relate it to the Giants. Like in the first, like my second video I made about Carson Wentz getting traded. Like that's a huge thing I love to do, just talk about that because it does sort of pertain to the Giants. And like you said with Dak, that definitely pertains to the Giants. So you're 100% right. Because Dak's going to want the bag. He's going to want the bag.
He deserves the bag.
Do you think so?
They just paid him like 4 pennies in a year.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. In all fairness, yeah. But is he like
a top 10 quarterback? He's a top 10 quarterback.
Okay, maybe
we pay him as such.
Okay, all right. So, but he's going to get that contract, and you're right. There are too many guys that want too much money, and that's not going to last. You're going to have Amari Cooper. I think he's on a pretty decent contract. Zeke's on a huge contract. When CeeDee's up for his contract, he's going to want that. And then they got guys.
Gallup's going to walk.
Lawrence is going to want that. Lawrence has big money, so, and even like the offensive line, big players that want big money.
Smith.
Yeah.
Before paying Dak, they just had to let their best corner go to the Dolphins. And like they haven't even paid Dak yet. Once they pay Dak, I mean that roster, I think at least like they have that good like front seven, I'd say. Their secondary is hot garbage, but that front seven is going to have to be broken up or Amari Cooper's out of there.
Exactly. And I agree with you. I cannot wait to see the Cowboys give Dak a huge contract. That is something I'm really looking forward to because it's going to be a lot and it's going to mess up the entire Cowboys roster. That's something I'm really looking forward to.
They don't pay him and then they have no quarterback and they're back to like being in that part of the league with the other 10 teams who are just trying to figure out who the hell their quarterback is.
Yes. And that's going to be another great time. I cannot wait, which is We'll go into actually let's address all the NFC East quarterbacks. So now let's go into what do you think the Eagles are going to do? And I have an idea. I want to hear your ideas.
I mean, I think I heard you talk about this the other day, but I think you think they're going to draft a quarterback at 6, right?
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all.
I think they bring in like a veteran because the Eagles have said before that they value backup quarterback as a top 15 position on the roster. And I don't think you can have 2 unproven guys at quarterback. If you value quarterback and the backup quarterback as top 15 positions on the roster, I would have absolutely no surprised look on my face if Nick Foles was the backup quarterback for the Eagles next year.
Big Dick Nick, that would be great. I would love that if that happened.
I think it's going to happen. I mean, they built him a statue. You might as well let him come be your backup for 3 years before he retires and says, peace, thanks, Philly, brought you a chip, love you guys.
Yeah.
I think Hurts is so unproven. Like I saw everyone's like, oh, like look, his completion percentage was only like whatever, like 55%. But like you brought him in against the Saints. And then also Philadelphia, you had one of the worst defenses in the league. Like you guys were playing catch up all game. And you can't like Jalen Hurts isn't a catch up quarterback. You got to run the ball, establish the run, let him run some speed options. He's accurate over the middle, but I mean, like Josh Allen had a 51% completion percentage when they were airing it out to people who can't catch the ball too.
Yeah.
They brought in Stephon Diggs. Like the Eagles need to figure out their weapons before they make any decision on Jalen Hurts. And I think he's exciting. I don't know how good he's going to be long-term, but like, I think if you're the Eagles, you definitely give him a chance. He showed way too much promise for you to go give him a chance. And even with that offensive line looked terrible, no weapons. He went and got you, I think, a couple wins and almost beat the Saints. And like, I think he's got to be given a chance.
That's fair. I have heard some rumors out there. They're just little rumors on Instagram, stuff like that, saying that like they want to bring in a guy to compete with him, and they're not declaring him the number one yet. Which that makes sense, and I am interested to see what that means. What does competition mean? Does that mean, oh, I want to get again, because now you have a new coach, he might want his guy. So does that mean that they want to bring in a new guy, or does that mean they want to bring in like an Andy Dalton or like a Nick Foles who's not going to be that expensive and is kind of old, and it's like his competition, but not really?
Right. I think
we have to wait and see.
the guy's name is like Nick Sirianni, right?
Yeah.
I think me having to ask about his name means that he doesn't get to get his guy. That is Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie's team.
That's fair, actually.
They fired Doug Peterson because he wanted it to be his team and his decision.
Yeah.
And Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie have no time for anybody who wants to go get their guy. They have their guy in Jalen Hurts, and Nick Sirianni's going to go win games or he's going to get fired.
Wow, that's actually something I've never really thought about. Like, he is not a dude that could be like, hey, this is my guy. Like,
no, he's not Robert Saleh. Like, he's not the Jets hire. He gets to go get his guy if he wants. He's a little baby boy.
Yeah, and especially did you see his opening interview?
Yeah, I mean, he might as like I think he had he was pissing down his leg.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
He's the scared man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so I've actually never thought of that point, and that's actually a pretty solid point, to be totally honest with you. But okay, now let's go to the Washington football team. So I am afraid of them. I am so afraid of them because if they get a quarterback, it's going to be scary. It is going to be really, really scary. So do you think they address it in the draft, or do you think they address it in free agency? And if they do address it in free agency, who are they going to get? I don't know any other quarterback that is up for them. Cam Newton?
Ron Rivera, Cam Newton.
Get it back, run it back?
Cam's not going to be expensive. He can help them with that running game. That defense is scary. I think Rivera sees a little window for improvement here. And Rivera, I think, just wants someone he knows doesn't suck. Because I love Alex Smith, great story. You sucked last year.
Yeah.
Heineke looked cute for a couple days. What they signed him to a 3-year, $8 million contract, not your starting quarterback.
No.
Right. And so I think you go out, you sign Cam Newton for what do you have to pay him? $7 million a year. And you go with the Cam experiment. I think that's what the Washington Redskins do.
Wow. I got to have you on more because you're giving me ideas, man. Of wow, I've never really thought of this. But yeah, I was also even thinking that maybe I want them to do this because I think he's not that good. But I would love if they were draft Mac Jones or a player like that. You know what I mean? Or Kyle Trask. I don't think they're really that good. And I just think they succeeded. I think Mac Jones succeeded because it's oh my God, I have an awesome offensive line. Oh, also on top of the fact that I had Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and Najee Harris and name another weapon. I had that guy and I could chuck it up because they're all wide open. So I think that's why he kind of succeeded. So I would hope they do that, but that's kind of an interesting idea. And you're right.
I also think if Sean Payton doesn't go to Jameis Winston and say oh, hey, you're our starting quarterback. I'm not doing this Taysom Hill thing anymore. I could see Jameis is probably going to stay with the Saints, but if he's out in the market, I see the Redskins throwing their hat in the ring. I don't know if they go all in and get him, but I think they'd be interested if Jameis tested free agency.
Yeah, he's another guy though. Yeah. Have they? Yeah, and they have not said that he's the guy yet, but I would be so surprised. And I would think it's just a dumb idea if they made Taysom Hill a starting quarterback there.
But Sean Payton likes to be cute. He likes being cute so much with his little play calls and everything, and he loves bringing in Taysom Hill. So I think they'll go with Jameis, probably 95% sure. But if they don't go with Jameis, I see him testing free agency, and I think he ends up with I don't know, the Patriots or
the Patriots,
down
nice.
Washington football team.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, wow.
I didn't say Redskins earlier, bro. That's messed up.
I said them?
Maybe. I don't know. I just said it right now, so I'm on the hot seat.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing that we're not famous or anything like that, so I'm not too really worried about it.
I meant Washington football team.
Yeah, you know what? It's all in all fairness, it's the first year. So you gotta give us some
leeway. All right.
It's gonna take a bit. But okay, great. I think we addressed a whole lot. And you know what, guys? This is super early. So like we said, there is not a lot going on as far as NFL and news and stuff like that. Right now, coaches and stuff like that are just trying to keep everything super low key, and they're just watching film and addressing players that they think they want. As the month goes on, so once we get into March, which is only about a week and a half away, this is when that's going to start to heat up a little bit. And like I said before, I'm going to be posting videos about, just little things as far as draft stock, who we're going to draft and players I like and film analysis, such as Micah Parsons is a big guy I like a lot, and the top 3 wide receivers. Those are going to be my next 4 videos that I'll probably be talking about. But also my cousin was telling me it'd be a great idea if I could talk about things is Eli a Hall of Famer? Just little things like that are Giants related. So that is a good idea for me. I think I'm definitely going to start to do things like that as well. But we're heading into the season of like, this is when things start to pick up. I'm not exactly sure. When does free agency start for sure? Is it like It's like mid-March, right?
I think it's like the beginning of March, but yeah. March.
Yeah, so we have some time. We have some time until that hits. It's definitely coming up. Next Monday is March 1st, but we have a little bit of time. So, yeah, but I just want to say thank you to Liam for coming on. It was great. I am 1,000% having you on 100% more times because I never even thought of us getting a guy like Jadeveon Clowney or a guy like Bud Dupree, but that just makes so much sense. It'd be such a great idea if we could do that. So, thanks for the insight. I loved having you on. We'll have you on again. But yeah, you got anything else to say?
No, yeah, for sure. I'd love to come back on, and yeah, it was fun.
All right, perfect. All right. Peace out, guys. See you.